as you know, I'd consider you a Jay-Z enthusiast.
Mm?
What does, and this is an abstract question, but I've always wanted to ask, what does Jay-Z mean to you? More important, what does Jay-Z mean to hip hop?
I feel emotional. So my entry point to Jay-Z was Reasonable Doubt. And as you know, we shout out to Summit, our co-host on Breaking Atoms. So we did a 5-part audio documentary on the making of Reasonable Doubt. So what Jay-Z means to me starts with Reasonable Doubt, because he showed me the how and the why behind the what. So he wasn't the first rapper to talk about street stuff and hustling and drugs and money and capitalism, but he really detailed the perils of it in such detail. It was like someone was whispering in your ear at a party. It was intimate conversations. Like, I listened to him and felt like he was talking to me and only me. I love the fact that his voice wasn't necessarily gruff or deep. It was quite smooth. It was quite high pitched. He sounded like someone or people that we knew every day. So Jay-Z, for me, he is a journalist. He is a poet. He's one of the most elite writers. He is someone that challenged my train of thought and made me think more expansively as to what hip hop could be. And he really put a magnifying glass on that world of, like hustling and drug dealing. And, to some degree, I take it really personal when people say, oh, he was just a drug dealer, or he was just this. He really shone a light on the human consciousness and that conflict that comes from doing what you have to do, even though it may not necessarily be good and you may not necessarily be enjoying it, and that constant to and fro and pull. And the way he's detailed that's what he means. That's what he means to me. That he humanized. It's like The Wire. That's The Wire is a show that really humanizes people. That for example, when Bodie and Wallace have their thing, and Bodie and Poot and Poot and Bodie shoot Wallace. They've just killed someone, but you don't hate them afterwards. You don't boo them. It's like, oh, they were put in that position. They were forced to do that. And Reasonable Doubt does that for me. What does Jay-Z mean to hip hop? He means many things, bro. I don't think he means just one thing. I think in terms of elite lyricism, particularly for a certain era, from the early 90s onwards, elite lyricism, always in the conversation, always drop quality music. And that's not to say everything was great and amazing, but I believe most of it was. In terms of being a businessman, he achieved everything that he said he was going to achieve. Jay-Z is an ambassador. He can be in rooms, he can talk to people at the White House. He can walk into, Samsung and say, I'm going to put my album on 1 million phones and you're going to sell it for me. He's a man of influence. He's a man of network. He's a man of connections. What he does for social justice and, legal reform and those things. So he does many different things. But I think most importantly, what Jay-Z means for hip hop is that you can be whatever it is you want to be, and you shouldn't confine yourself or this culture to one box.
Well, so there's two main critiques I've heard over the years about Jay, right? One of them is a hip hop critique and one of them is more like personal critique. Nothing mad. The personal one is what Jay did to Dame and Rockefeller.
What did he do?
Undercut Dame. And in terms of, and now the culture looks at Dame a certain way, right? I'm gonna pose to you the question: does the whole kind of Jay-Z's acquisition or Jay-Z's basically taking over, is that a stain on his legacy, or do you just view that as shit had to get done?
I see both sides, man. So based on what you're saying, yes, like in business, sometimes tough decisions need to be made. And that's why sometimes, I'm not the best businessman because I can't make tough decisions sometimes. You know what I'm saying? In an ideal world, if God came down from the sky and said, do you want Rock Nation or Rockefeller? I'm saying I want Rockefeller back. I want Rockefeller back. Because I don't know what really went on between them, but one thing I do know is that Dame Dash, to me, seemed to be someone who fought for his artists. And he advocated for his artists. And I think we need more Dame Dashes. Not less.
Ooh.
We need more. We need people that will walk into a room and say, nah, this is my artist. This is my label. What are you doing? We need more of that. But at the same time, when you think about a Rock Nation and how many people are employed, how many families are being fed, like one thing I love about Jay-Z is that he has successful people around him and he's made people successful. I'm a true believer that you are not successful until you have a successor. If Jay-Z drops down tomorrow, people are in position to carry on the thing.
Yeah, there's a verse where he's like, I made millionaires. Oh, what verse is that from?
I can't even remember either, but I know he said something like that.
Millions, they made, Beans made millions. Oh, I'm a fan of the verse.
But I understand the sentiment, right? So I think that's what I really appreciate. I really appreciate that about Jay-Z, and he's kept a lot of the people that he came up with around him. And a lot of people don't do that, and a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah. And then the other hip-hop critique is that he basically bit off Biggie.
I disagree.
Okay.
He references a lot of Biggie's lines, but my question is this. Post 97, or let's say post 94, Ready to Die dropped on September, is it late September 94. Who isn't influenced by Biggie? Who isn't?
Especially, yeah.
Nas said, name a rapper that I ain't influenced. Same thing goes for Biggie. Who isn't? I am. I'm here in London. Jay-Z's from Brooklyn. He knew the man. Of course he's inspired by him. When you say bit, it's like, you have to know the difference between biting and paying homage.
Because people say the whole mafioso rap aesthetic was basically, Jay-Z took it to an nth degree, but you could see it in Biggie.
Yeah, but Biggie wasn't the only one either. Like, to be honest with you, you had The Firm.
Yeah.
Cool G Rap did it before all of them. So then they're all biting Cool G Rap then.
Because these are conversations that, because like Jay, like I came into hip hop and Jay was already Jay, right? So for me, when I hear a lot of conversations about his legacy, like for me, it's like, it's all hindsight. It's all like, okay, I know I know Jay. Jay for me it's like, I've come to the world, okay, Jay's the GOAT, okay, cool. But when I hear, conversations of people of the time, these are the questions I want to ask.
Jay has a lot of criticisms and there's been a lot of detractors. Yeah. So even on the blueprint, he opens up with the rulers back. He came out and said, listen, man, I'm him in it. Then you got Takeover, like he addressed all of that. And I think some of the criticisms, I understand why they are criticisms. I understand why people are saying it. But then you have to put a light on everyone else. I take certain rappers' lines and flip them because I'm paying homage to you. Yeah. I flip Souls of Mischief.
Yeah.
Done it loads of times.
Who wouldn't?
Like, they inspired me.
Yeah.
And what I also like in terms of like rappers sharing lines and tweaking them and flipping them, like, and Jay-Z's no exception, is it's a form of signposting, man. Yep. I can argue, I would imagine that some people have discovered Biggie's music because, Jay-Z bit that line from Biggie, and somebody like, who's that? Biggie. All right, let me go down my rabbit hole. Like my friend's son, he's like I think he's 14, 15. Just started getting into hip hop. Yeah. Biggie is his favorite rapper.
Literally on GNX, Kendrick has a Biggie line. All these rap niggas, my siblings, they're just my children.
Kicking the door.
Yeah.
So no, I think that's an unfair criticism because I don't want to speak for everyone, but I would argue who is not inspired or influenced by Biggie in some way. You'd be hard to find anyone who isn't.
I'll ask you this: how did Jay recover from Ether? Because that's a part because I know the history.
Yeah.
But it's like, and obviously I've witnessed the rap beef, and obviously I'm not comparing Jay to Drake. But how do you? Because I've seen rap beefs have ended careers. Yeah. You've seen Ja Rule, Meek Mill. We don't look at him the same, and I'm not looking at Drake the same.
Well, your generation love blood, bro. You lot love blood. You want to see people damaged and disappeared.
Listen,
I just want to hear responses.
I blame 50. I blame 50. What 50 did to Ja in terms of altering up, like Ja Rule. Even I grew up listening to Ja Rule. Ja Rule was inescapable.
Ja Rule had a run, and a lot of people are gonna say, I'm not a Ja Rule fan. But listen, I'm not the biggest Ja Rule fan, but I would be lying if I said between 98 and 2003. Ja Rule had a 5-year run. He got his 5 years, man.
Honestly,
he got his little window, man. It was a good time.
But like, I feel like the way we was gonna say 50 changed it because We never heard from him again.
We did.
Ben, it wasn't the same.
But
It was
what's ironic is that Ja Rule put out, for me anyway, he put out a couple of good albums after that. The RULE album, remember, he came with New York with Fat Joe and Jadakiss. That was a comeback, bro.
Yeah. But it's just the way in the history books, Ja Rule will be remembered.
Yeah,
especially
that he's now an adjective.
Yeah, you got Ja Rule.
You got Ja Rule.
You got Ja Rule.
It's not good, you know.
And it's like considering how the run Ja Rule was on and it just ended. And then now, like, I think it altered the way we look at Beast, because now we're looking for complete domination.
Yes.
And in all Beasts, we look for that. Because even Meek Mill was still around, but the perception of Meek changed once Drake did that to him.
Yeah, but Meek messed up himself, innit? Meek messed up himself, bruv. First of all, the guy came back with that 1-0 song. I heard the Undertaker bell.
Yeah.
I said, okay, we're about to get to it.
Yeah.
You don't do a tune with the Undertaker bell and you don't catch no bodies on it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was your first mistake. And then you started rapping about watches. I'm like, and then when Meek Mill said, I came up listening to the locks, I was like, well, you weren't listening then. Jadakiss and them, man, would never.
Yeah.
You weren't listening, man.
Yeah. I thought, and then that's why I'm not going to beat a dead horse for the Drake and Kendrick topic, because, like, I think everyone spoke about that, but that's why, like, I expected Pusha. Well, what's Pusha T did what he did and Drake came back, it was kind of like, oh, this is unexpected, but then it made me go back to the original question, which was Jay and Nas, because obviously it's not the same circumstances, but Jay went on to still be considered Jay. After that,
from what I can remember, because I remember when Ether dropped, and it was,
keep going,
it was the conversation of the barbershops, the classrooms. Like, we were saying, oh man, have you heard this Ether tune? Have you heard this Ether tune? And have you heard Takeover? And like, who won? I remember going to the train station to buy my train ticket one time, right? And the guy said to me, because I was wearing like a red Rockefeller hoodie, and the guy said to me, who you got, Jay-Z or Nas? I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to buy my train ticket, bro. And I think what helped Jay to recover, and you know, even the initial response after Ether came out, and I remember Jay-Z going up to the record station, and it was like, you know, he released Super Ugly. We can't forget that Super Ugly came out after Ether. But I think the impact of Ether and the fact that we did not expect that from Nas, because prior to Stillmatic, which was the album he released in December of that same year, Nas was kind of ropey. Like the last couple of albums he put out, people was looking at him like,
would you say that's when the Nas can't peak beats narrative started to like bubble up?
Possibly. Like, yeah, there was a few bad beat choices, but then, you know, I've never really thought that whole thing applied to Nas, because look, Illmatic, it was written like to me, it has great production. It's like, there's no producer that wouldn't stop what they're doing for Nas. Yeah. But I think sometimes when you say something enough, it can become the narrative. It's like House of Cards, isn't it? Like, they kept, you know, if I keep saying you're disorganized, and I keep saying it to people, eventually they're gonna be like, oh, he's disorganized.
And then what becomes is confirmation bias.
But yeah, like Jay-Z recovered from Ether, just putting out music. You know, I remember the double album Blueprint 2 came out afterwards. It wasn't a great album, it was a lot of music, but you know, say what you want to say about Jay-Z with the criticism or not, he was very consistent. He kept recording music, and he elevated, you know, with business and cultural influence that kind of went outside music. So you had the Reebok deal, for example. Then, you know, Rockefeller expanded its roster, new artists came through, etc. So, you know, to me, it's like, when it comes to hip-hop battles, bro, I don't want to see it to the point where no one can get up afterwards. Because I don't like that if I'm watching a fight in the real world, or when we were younger in school, you don't want to see someone get knocked out to the point they can't stand up and walk away. But that's why I say you're Generation 1 blood, bro. You don't want to see people finish, like, to the point where I'm talking about hip-hop battles with some people, and they'll be like, well, he didn't end his career, so what was the point? I'm like, but that shouldn't be the end goal. To stop someone from providing for their family. Come on, man. It's not that serious, man.
Listen, like, we're a generation that grew up playing Mortal Kombat, man. So, like,
I grew up listening like Fatality and Raiden and all them, man. I get it, bro. But like, yeah, I like to see blood, but I also like to see people walk away.
Nah, that's fair.